Welcome back to the Quarterly Call. All content is for informational purposes and is not investment advice. Please consult with an investment professional. So Mastercard's latest earnings call, it had everyone talking, and for good reason. I mean, they're not just a credit card company anymore. This call really hinted that they're thinking way bigger.
Yeah, they're thinking about like how we'll pay for everything in the future.
Yeah, they're trying to shape the future of how we buy everything.
Right.
From like buying stuff online
Right.
to that cup of coffee in the morning.
Exactly.
Even like in parts of the world where everybody still uses cash.
Yeah, that's right. That's a big part of their vision too.
It's a pretty bold vision.
It is.
And what really stood out to me is that they're not just relying on those old school like payment methods to get, they're like swiping your card.
Right.
They're getting into all this like really cutting edge tech.
Yeah.
And they're making strategic partnerships to create what they call this like seamless and secure payment experience for everybody.
Exactly. And that's something they really emphasized throughout the call, this idea of a seamless and secure experience for every single person.
Okay, well, before we get into all that, let's talk about the numbers for a second. Mastercard saw a 16% jump in their revenue
Wow.
and almost 20% growth in their income.
That's impressive.
I know. This is all happening while the global economy's kind of been all over the place, right?
Yeah.
A lot of uncertainty.
Exactly. A lot of uncertainty.
That's got to make investors happy, right?
Absolutely. I mean, these numbers definitely show that Mastercard is really good at, navigating a complicated economic situation. We've got a strong job market in a lot of countries.
Right.
Inflation seems to be cooling down a little. But then there's still like those geopolitical risks that are out there. It's like Mastercard's threading a needle.
Yeah, they are. So how are they planning to keep all this momentum going? I mean, they laid out 3 main areas they're going to focus on.
Yeah, they did. The first one they call consumer payments. And this is where things get really interesting, I think, because they're not just thinking about getting you to use your Mastercard more.
Right.
They're trying to get a piece of this huge market that still mostly uses cash and checks.
Oh, wow.
We're talking over $11 trillion globally.
Yeah, that's a huge opportunity.
It is a huge opportunity.
It is also a huge challenge, right? I mean, how do you convince people who've been using cash their whole lives to switch over to like digital payments?
Right. Well, that's where the seamless and secure thing comes in.
Okay.
They're putting a lot of money into technologies that completely change how checkout works.
Okay.
Like imagine walking into a store, picking up the things you want, and then just walking out.
Really?
Yeah.
No swiping your card? No scanning anything?
No scanning. It's all facial recognition.
Wow.
Confirming who you are and authorizing the payment.
Okay. That sounds like something straight out of a movie.
It does, right?
A little creepy, I gotta say.
Yeah.
What about security? Are people really going to be okay with their face being like their payment method?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. And Mastercard knows it is. They're not just thinking about convenience. They're building security into every single step of the process. Like fingerprint scanning, AI-powered fraud detection that's analyzing all your transactions in real time. These are just some of the ways they're trying to stay ahead when it comes to protecting your financial data.
So they want to make a system that's so convenient and so secure that even the people who don't like digital payments, they'll be willing to give it a shot.
Exactly. They think that once people see how easy and safe these new technologies are, they won't want to go back to the old ways.
That makes sense. But what about when you travel to a country where your Mastercard isn't really accepted? I've definitely been in those situations where I'm like scrambling for cash because my card just doesn't work.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Well, that's a challenge they're tackling head on with what they call opening closed loop systems.
Right.
It's all about working with local payment providers, big names like Alipay in China, to smaller regional ones like you find in Southeast Asia and Africa.
So no matter where you go, you can use your Mastercard.
That's the idea.
Either directly or through those partnerships.
Exactly.
To access your money and to pay for things.
That's right.
So they want to make a truly global network where your Mastercard's like your passport to money, no matter where you are in the world.
You got it. They're bridging the gap between the big payment networks that already exist and all these local systems. Yeah. And they want to make a more connected and a more inclusive financial world.
I like that.
And this is where things get even more interesting because it's not just about people like you and me.
Right.
It's about businesses too.
Okay.
And how they work with each other.
Okay.
That's a big part of their vision as well.
All right, well, let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about how Mastercard wants to totally change, like, consumer payments.
Right.
But what about how businesses pay each other?
Right. That's their second big focus area. They call it commercial payments. And
Okay.
it's actually even bigger than consumer payments.
Okay.
Yeah. Think about all the transactions between businesses
Yeah,
every single day.
that's a lot.
It is a lot, like global supply chains,
Right.
small businesses paying their suppliers.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's like a whole world most
Huge.
of us don't even see.
Uh-huh.
But it's like the engine of the global economy, right?
Exactly.
So it sounds like Mastercard really wants to be a big player in that world.
They do. They're seeing a lot of growth there, about 11% last quarter.
Wow.
And they think that's just the start.
Okay.
One of their big things is virtual cards.
Virtual cards.
Yeah.
So instead of those like clunky corporate credit cards,
Yeah,
you just have a digital version that
exactly.
you can use online
Yeah,
or to pay invoices and stuff.
that's right. It makes the whole payment process so much smoother and more efficient and safer for businesses.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, imagine a world where every employee,
Hmm.
even freelancers or contractors,
Right.
they all have their own virtual Mastercard,
Okay.
specifically for their work expenses.
Yeah.
And it has built-in controls
Okay.
and automated expense reporting.
So it's like way less hassle for businesses
Way less hassle.
and probably saves them a ton of time too.
Absolutely.
But what about security?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like virtual cards would be easier to like hack or something.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, because these cards are all digital. You can customize them
Okay.
with spending limits
Right.
and security features.
So it's harder to mess with them.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
way harder to counterfeit them or
Yeah.
to misuse them compared to a regular plastic card.
Interesting.
And if one gets lost or stolen,
Hmm.
you can just deactivate it right away.
So it's about simplifying things for businesses, making it safer,
Yeah.
and giving them more control over their spending.
Exactly. And this is just one example
Huh?
of how MasterCard is doing more than just processing payments.
Right.
Their third big area is services and solutions.
Okay.
It's all about using their technology and their knowledge
Okay.
to offer a whole bunch of tools and services that help businesses work better in the digital world.
So they're not just a card network anymore.
No, they're not.
They're like a technology partner for businesses.
That's a great way to put it.
So what kind of services are we talking about here?
Well, this is a big part of their business.
Okay.
It brought in almost $11 billion last year,
Right.
and they see even more potential for growth.
Okay.
One area where they're putting a lot of resources is cybersecurity.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
I mean, with digital payments becoming so common, the risk of fraud and cyber attacks is just going to keep going up.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge concern for everyone.
So what are they doing to fight back against the hackers and stuff?
Well, they're using AI and machine learning to develop these really advanced fraud detection systems that analyze tons of data in real time.
Okay.
They've also bought companies like Recorded Future?
Recording Future.
Yeah.
That name sounds familiar.
They're a leading cybersecurity company.
Okay.
Mastercard acquired them to boost their own cybersecurity capabilities.
So what does Recorded Future actually do?
Well, they protect some pretty big organizations,
Yeah.
governments,
Mm-hmm.
financial institutions,
Mm-hmm.
Fortune 500 companies.
So they're the real deal.
They are. They help anticipate and stop cyber threats.
Okay.
Their technology is constantly scanning the internet.
Looking for trouble.
Yeah, basically,
Or is it?
looking for any sign of a potential attack.
Ah.
And they alert their clients immediately.
So it's like having a whole global intelligence network working 24/7 to keep your business safe.
That's a great way to think about it,
And it's not just about preventing fraud, right?
right? It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
They also help businesses analyze customer data,
Right.
manage loyalty programs,
Uh-huh.
even understand new markets.
So they're like a one-stop shop for businesses who want to figure out this whole digital world.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
They're providing the tools and insights businesses need to succeed in the digital economy.
It's more than just processing payments at this point.
Exactly. They're going from a transactional role
Mm-hmm.
to a more strategic partnership with businesses.
Helping them adapt and thrive in this digital world.
That's right.
So this all sounds really impressive, but isn't this a pretty competitive space?
It is.
I mean, there are so many companies doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, there are a lot of companies in this space.
What makes MasterCard stand out?
Well, a couple of things. First, their global reach.
Okay.
They have a huge network of partners all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
and they really understand the payments ecosystem.
They've been doing this for a long time, right?
They have.
And they're investing a lot in innovation. Like
Mhm.
they're not afraid to work with smaller companies to
Yeah.
get access to the latest technologies.
Exactly. They're playing the long game. They're betting that their combination of size,
Okay.
expertise,
Mm-hmm.
and innovation will give them an edge in the future.
Okay, so they're thinking long term. So Mastercard's got this pretty ambitious plan for the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, what could like mess things up for them, even if they do everything right?
Yeah, there are always challenges in business,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a fast-moving field like this.
Right.
One thing they'll need to be careful with is regulation.
Okay.
You know, different countries have different rules about financial technology, and those rules are always changing.
Yeah, that's true. Like we've seen so much debate lately
Yeah,
about how to regulate things like cryptocurrency and digital wallets.
exactly.
So Mastercard's going to have to be really flexible to keep up with all that.
They will. They need to be proactive, talking to regulators around the world,
Hmm.
making sure they're following the rules, but also pushing for policies that help innovation.
Right. And then there's competition too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a crowded market out there.
It is. You've got the big players like Visa and American Express,
Mhm.
and then all these fintech startups trying to shake things up.
It's like they're in a race.
Yeah.
To innovate and stay ahead of everyone else.
Exactly.
Mastercard can't just sit back and relax.
Nope, they got to keep moving. They'll need to keep investing in research and development.
Hmm.
And maybe even acquire some smaller companies that have specific expertise
Hmm.
to stay competitive.
Right. And then, of course, there's the whole global economy thing,
Right.
which is like a total wild card.
Always.
I mean, things like inflation,
Yeah.
interest rates, consumer confidence, that can all have a huge impact on how people spend money,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which ultimately affects Mastercard's bottom line.
Exactly. They're operating in this complex, interconnected world,
Yeah.
and they need to be ready for anything.
Unexpected events,
Right.
economic shocks, it's a lot to handle.
It is. But you know, one thing that really impressed me about this earnings call
Mm-hmm.
was their focus on financial inclusion.
Yeah, you're right. They talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
About reaching people who don't have access to traditional banking or even smartphones.
Right.
It's a big challenge. So how are they going to do that?
It's a multi-pronged approach, I guess you could say.
Yep.
They're working with governments and NGOs in developing countries
Mm-hmm.
to create solutions that work in those specific contexts.
Like what? What kind of solutions?
Well, things like prepaid cards
Okay.
that are linked to mobile wallets
Mm-hmm.
or using biometrics for people who don't have traditional IDs.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's cutting edge stuff.
And they're partnering with local businesses too, right?
Yes, to make sure people can use digital payments, even in places where everyone still uses cash.
So it's a long-term strategy.
It is.
But it could bring millions of people into the formal financial system.
Exactly.
Give them access to credit,
Yeah.
savings,
Yeah.
all these financial tools. That can help them improve their lives.
That's the goal.
It's a pretty powerful vision.
It is.
It's not just about making money. It's about using technology to help people
To empower people.
and create a more equitable world.
That's what they're aiming for.
That's what makes Mastercard a company to watch, I think.
I agree.
They're not just trying to be the biggest payments company. They want to change the future of finance in a way that benefits everyone.
That's right.
Well, this has been a really fascinating look at Mastercard.
It has.
From their strong financials to their ambitious plans for the future. They're definitely a company to keep an eye on.
Agreed. They're innovating, adapting, thinking big.
It'll be interesting to see what they do next.
It will.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Quarterly Call. For more episodes, please remember to rate and follow our show. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.